I'm watching the security camera feed from my office. 42nd floor, corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows, partner-level accommodations in a firm that manages $500 million in assets. The lobby camera shows them arriving, all four of them, my parents, my brother, my sister, dressed up, confident, smiling like they belong here. They approach the reception desk. My mother leans in, says something. I can't hear through the camera, but I know what she's saying. We're here to see our son. We're family. He'll want to see us. Jessica, our receptionist, remains professional, checks her computer, makes a call to my assistant, listens, nods. Then she delivers the message I'd given weeks ago, anticipating this exact scenario. I'm sorry. You're not on the visitor list. You'll need to leave? I watch my father's face change. Confusion, then indignation. He's saying something now. Probably about family, about rights, about how this is unacceptable. Jessica doesn't argue. She just makes another call. Security. 2 minutes. That's how long they were inside my building before Mark and Jennifer, our security team, arrived to escort them out. My brother tries to stand his ground. I see his mouth moving. Probably threats. Probably promises. Probably desperation dressed as anger. But Mark is professional. Firm. Not aggressive. Just clear. You need to leave now. If you refuse, we'll call the police. At 4:07 p.m., they're walking out. Looking back. Confused. Humiliated. Finally understanding that success doesn't automatically grant them access to my life. The clock on the wall in the lobby clearly shows total time inside, 2 minutes. I close the security feed, return to the contract I was reviewing. My hands don't shake, my heart rate doesn't spike. I feel nothing but the quiet satisfaction of a boundary enforced. They called me smart but useless for 25 years. Today, I showed them exactly how useful I am. Useful enough to have security remove them without ever leaving my desk. Before we get into how we got here, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment with your city or country. I love knowing where you're all watching from, and if you've ever been called smart but useless by people who should have supported you, hit that hype button. This one's for all of us. All right, let's get into it. I was 10 years old when I first heard it. The phrase that would define my relationship with my family for the next 2 decades. You're smart, but you're useless. My father said it. We were at a family barbecue. My cousin Jake had just scored the winning goal in his soccer game. Everyone was celebrating, clapping, cheering, making a huge deal out of it. I'd brought home straight A's that week, highest grades in my class, perfect scores on every test. My teacher had written a note saying I was exceptionally gifted and should be in advanced programs. I showed my father the report card, hoping for similar celebration, similar acknowledgement. He glanced at it. That's nice, but grades don't pay bills. Look at Jake. That's real talent. That's something people actually care about. But I worked really hard. Anyone can work hard at schoolwork. It takes real skill to be athletic, to be competitive, to be a winner. You're smart, sure. But what's that worth in the real world? The phrase stuck. Smart but useless. It became their go-to assessment of me. Any academic achievement was immediately qualified with but. You got into the honor society? That's great. But can you throw a football? You won the science fair? Nice, but your brother just made varsity. That actually matters. You're reading college-level books in middle school? Good for you, but nobody cares about bookworms in the real world. Every accomplishment was diminished. Every achievement was contextualized as less important than what the athletic, popular, socially successful kids were doing. My brother Tyler was the athlete, captain of the football team, popular, dating the prettiest girls, going to parties, living the life my parents valued. My sister Amanda was the social butterfly, cheerleader, homecoming court, friends with everyone, invited to everything, the kind of visible success my family understood. And then there was me, the quiet one, the one with his nose in books, the one who got perfect grades but couldn't throw a spiral, the one who won academic competitions but wasn't invited to parties. Smart but useless. That's what I was to them. Family gatherings were the worst. Every single one became a comparison session. Thanksgiving. Tyler made all conference this year. He's getting recruited by colleges. That's real success. Christmas. Amanda was nominated for prom queen. Everyone loves her. That's the kind of daughter who makes parents proud. Easter. You got another A? That's nice. But when are you going to do something that actually matters? My achievements were invisible, or worse. They were acknowledged just enough to be dismissed. You got a scholarship? Well, Tyler got a full ride for football. Now that's impressive. You're in advanced placement classes? Amanda just got elected class president. That takes real leadership. The message was consistent. What I did didn't matter. What I was good at didn't count. Being smart was fine, but it wasn't valuable. It wasn't worthy of pride. It wasn't success. I was 16 when I stopped sharing anything with them, stopped showing them grades, stopped mentioning achievements, stopped seeking approval I'd never receive. How was school? My mother would ask at dinner. Fine. Just fine? Nothing interesting? Nope. I'd won a state-level essay competition that day. First place, $2,000 scholarship, recognition from the governor. My teacher had called it the best student work she'd seen in 20 years. I didn't mention it, because I knew how it would go. They'd say, "That's nice," and immediately pivot to talking about Tyler's latest touchdown or Amanda's latest social media milestone. So I stopped giving them opportunities to diminish me, stopped seeking validation from people who'd made it clear they didn't value what I brought. At 18, I went to college on a full academic scholarship. They celebrated Tyler's football scholarship for weeks, had a party, invited relatives, posted about it constantly. My scholarship announcement was met with, "That's good. College is important. No party, no celebration, no posts. Just acknowledgement that I'd met a basic expectation. In college, I studied finance and economics, worked hard, got internships, networked, built skills that would actually translate to career success. But I didn't tell my family about any of it." "What are you studying?" my father asked during a rare phone call. "Business stuff." "Business? That's vague. Tyler's pre-law. That's a real career path." "Good for Tyler." "You should have direction, purpose, not just business stuff." I had direction. I had purpose. I just wasn't sharing it with people who'd spent 18 years telling me my strengths didn't matter. After graduation, I got a job at an investment firm. Entry-level, analyst position, long hours. Okay pay, nothing glamorous. But it was a foot in the door at a respected firm. I didn't tell my family the name of the firm. Didn't share details, kept it vague. I'm working in finance. Finance? Like a bank teller? Something like that. They didn't ask follow-up questions, didn't care enough to dig deeper. They were too busy celebrating Tyler's new job at a law firm, which he'd quit after 6 months, and Amanda's engagement to a guy who came from a good family. They'd divorce within 2 years, but at the time, it was the family's proudest moment. And I was fine with their disinterest. More than fine. It meant I could build my career without their commentary, without their comparisons, without them diminishing every milestone. I worked, I learned, I progressed, quietly, privately, without fanfare or family updates. And over the next decade, I built something they couldn't see because they'd never bothered to look. My 20s were defined by family gatherings where I was the afterthought, the one they asked about politely but weren't actually interested in, the successful but not impressively so son who didn't provide good material for bragging. Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every birthday party, same pattern. They'd ask about Tyler first. "How's the job? How's the girlfriend? Are you happy? Tell us everything." Then Amanda. "How's married life? How's the house? When are you having kids? You look amazing." Then me. "And how are you?" Not, "How's work?" or "What's new?" Just the generic, "How are you?" The question you ask when you're being polite, but don't actually care about the answer. "I'm good." "Still in finance?" "Yeah." "That's nice. Tyler just made senior associate at his new firm. He's really going places. Every single time." I was 25 when Tyler switched careers for the third time. He'd started at a law firm, hated it, quit, tried consulting, hated it, quit. Now he was in tech sales, which he'd also quit within a year. But each new job was celebrated like a major achievement. Tyler's really finding himself. He's so brave to try different things. Not everyone has the courage to pivot like that. Meanwhile, I'd been at the same firm for 3 years. Promoted twice. Salary had doubled. I was building expertise and reputation. But because I stayed in one place, doing boring work, it wasn't impressive. Still at the same company? You should be more like Tyler. He's not afraid to take risks. Taking risks. That's what they called Tyler's inability to commit to anything. His pattern of starting strong and flaming out. His resume that looked like Swiss cheese. But my stability, my consistency, was somehow less valuable. Amanda's life was similarly chaotic but celebrated. Married at 23 to a guy our family loved. Divorced at 25 when he turned out to be controlling and unfaithful. But even the divorce was spun positively. Amanda's so strong. She's not staying in a bad situation. She knows her worth. She's going to find someone even better. When she started dating again immediately, a different guy every few months, it was exploring her options and figuring out what she wants. But when I mentioned I was focused on my career and not seriously dating, it was, you need to put yourself out there, and work isn't everything. I was 27 at a family Christmas when the comparison reached peak absurdity. Tyler had just been fired from his latest job. 4th job in 5 years, fired for performance issues, but he was spinning it as, they weren't the right fit, and I'm looking for something more meaningful. Amanda had just moved back in with our parents after her second breakup of the year. No job, no prospects, just posting on social media about finding herself. I'd just been promoted to senior analyst, significant raise, managing my own portfolio, real responsibility, real success by any objective measure. At Christmas dinner, my father raised his glass for a toast. To Tyler, for having the courage to keep searching for the right opportunity, and to Amanda, for knowing she deserves the best. We're proud of you both. No mention of me. I was sitting right there. They knew I'd been promoted. I'd mentioned it when I arrived. My mother noticed the omission. Oh, and congratulations on your work thing, too. Work thing. That's what she called a promotion I'd worked 3 years to earn. I raised my glass, said nothing, drank. That night, alone in my childhood bedroom, I made a decision. I was done seeking their approval, done hoping they'd recognize my achievements, done trying to fit into their definition of success. From that point forward, they were on an information diet. They'd get the absolute minimum, generic updates, nothing specific, nothing they could diminish. When I made VP at 29, I didn't tell them. When I was headhunted by a larger firm with a significant pay increase, I didn't mention it. When I bought my first property, a condo that cost more than my parents' house, I didn't share it. They knew I worked in finance and lived in the city and was doing fine. That's all they knew. That's all they deserved to know. At a wedding for a cousin when I was 30, an aunt asked, "So what exactly do you do?" "I work at an investment firm." "Doing what?" "Portfolio management, asset allocation, client relations." "That sounds complicated." "It is." "Tyler just started at a startup. He says they are going to be huge. He might get rich." Good for Tyler. This was Tyler's 5th job in 7 years. The startup would fail within 18 months. He'd move back in with our parents afterward. But in that moment, his potential was more impressive than my proven track record. I stopped going to every family gathering after that, made excuses. Work commitment, prior engagement. Can't make it. They didn't push back, didn't insist I come, didn't seem to notice or care when I wasn't there, which told me everything I needed to know about how much they valued my presence. By 32, I was seeing them maybe twice a year. Thanksgiving and Christmas, brief visits, surface-level conversation. I'd arrive late, leave early, and spend the time in between being politely distant. They didn't ask about my life. I didn't volunteer information. We existed in the same space without really connecting, which was fine with me. Connection required mutual respect. We didn't have that. Tyler was 34, living with our parents, between jobs, telling everyone he was consulting, which meant unemployed but too proud to say it. Amanda was 31, on boyfriend number 7 since her divorce, working part-time at a boutique, still figuring out what she wanted to do with her life. And I was 32, a vice president at one of the most respected investment firms in the region, managing portfolios worth tens of millions, making mid-6 figures, living a life of quiet success they knew nothing about. The irony was perfect. They'd spent my entire childhood telling me I'd never amount to anything because I wasn't athletic or popular or socially gifted. Meanwhile, the athletic one couldn't hold a job, the popular one couldn't maintain a relationship, and the useless one was building wealth and career success they couldn't comprehend. But I didn't tell them, didn't correct their assumptions, didn't set the record straight because I'd learned something important. Their approval didn't matter, their opinion didn't matter, their recognition didn't matter. What mattered was building a life I was proud of, and I was doing exactly that. While they compared me unfavorably to athletes and popular kids, I was building something they couldn't see because they refused to look. My career progression was methodical, deliberate, nothing flashy, just consistent excellence over time. I started as an analyst, the grunt work, spreadsheets, research, data analysis, long hours, unglamorous tasks that taught me how the industry actually worked. While Tyler was job hopping every 18 months, chasing titles and salaries he couldn't maintain, I stayed put, learned, absorbed, became indispensable. I watched how the senior partners operated, how they thought, how they made decisions, how they built relationships with high net worth clients, how they balanced risk and reward. I studied not just finance, but people, client psychology, what made someone trust you with their wealth, how to communicate complex strategies in simple terms, how to stay calm during market volatility while clients panicked. After 3 years as analyst, I made senior analyst. After 2 more years, associate, then senior associate, then VP. Each promotion came with more responsibility, more client contact, more autonomy, more compensation. By 30, I was managing portfolios totaling $50 million. By 32, $100 million. By 34, $200 million. My clients trusted me, referred others, stayed through market downturns because I'd built relationships based on competence and consistency. While Amanda was posting inspirational quotes on social media about manifesting abundance, I was actually creating it. For myself, for my clients, for the firm. The work wasn't glamorous. No one was writing articles about me. I wasn't on television, wasn't speaking at conferences, just quietly excellent at what I did. The managing partners noticed. "You're one of our most reliable VPs," David, the senior partner, told me during my 34th year. "Consistent performance, no drama. Clients love you. You don't make mistakes." I try not to. It's more than trying. You actually don't. In 6 years, you've had 0 compliance issues, 0 client complaints, 0 underperformance relative to benchmarks. That's rare. I take the work seriously. "I know. That's why we're having this conversation." He paused. Let the weight settle. "We're considering expanding the partnership, bringing in someone from the VP level, someone who's earned it, someone who represents the firm's values. Your name keeps coming up." Partnership, the pinnacle. The goal I'd been working toward for a decade without telling anyone. I'd be interested. It's not just about performance. It's about cultural fit, leadership potential, long-term thinking. Can you see yourself here for the next 20 years? I can. Then let's start the conversation. There's a process. Other partners need to weigh in, but I wanted you to know you're being considered seriously. Over the next 8 months, I went through the partnership evaluation, meetings with every existing partner, presentations about my client relationships, financial disclosures, references, background checks. The process was rigorous, deliberately so. Partnership wasn't just a promotion. It was ownership, equity, long-term commitment. They needed to be sure. I was 35 when they made the offer. "We'd like to offer you junior partnership. 20% equity stake to start, with potential to grow. Base compensation plus profit distribution based on firm performance and your book of business. Path to senior partnership within 5 years if performance continues." The numbers were significant, more than I'd made as VP, more than my parents had made in their combined lifetimes. Generational wealth if managed correctly. I accept. "Welcome to the partnership. We're lucky to have you." The announcement went out internally first. Email to all employees. My name added to the letterhead. New title, new responsibilities, then external. Press release to industry publications. Update to the website. Name on the door. Literally. The firm had partners' names on glass doors in the main corridor. My name appeared, Partner, Asset Management. I stood in the corridor that first day, looking at it. My name, on a door, in a firm managing $500 million in assets. Proof that smart but useless was just their failure of imagination, not my destiny. I didn't call my family, didn't text, didn't share the news. They'd made it clear for 35 years that my achievements didn't impress them. Why would this be different? Besides, they'd find out eventually. Small world. Someone would mention it, or they'd Google me and see the press releases, or they'd stumble across it somehow. But I wouldn't be the one to tell them. Wouldn't give them the opportunity to diminish it with, "That's nice, but," or immediately pivot to talking about Tyler or Amanda. This moment was mine. I didn't need to share it with people who'd never shared my pride. 3 weeks after the partnership announcement, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Hello? It's Mom." Silence. We hadn't spoken in 4 months. Since the previous Christmas, when I'd spent exactly 90 minutes at their house before claiming I had to get back to the city. "Hi. I was talking to Aunt Carol. She said she saw an article about you, something about a partnership at your company." There it was. They hadn't found out through me, through my LinkedIn, through following my life at all. They'd found out through a relative who'd randomly seen an industry publication. "Yeah, I made partner a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago? And you didn't tell us? Didn't come up. Didn't come up? Your own mother. You don't think we'd want to know? You've never been interested in my work before. Didn't think this would be different. That's not fair. We've always supported you. The lie hung between us. We both knew it was a lie, but she was committed to the fiction. Anyway, she continued, we're very proud. A partnership. That's a big deal. It is. We should celebrate. Come over for dinner. We'll make your favorite meal. Invite some relatives. I'm busy. When? In general. I'm busy in general. Well, we want to see you. We want to hear all about it. About your job. About everything. I'll let you know when I have time. I wouldn't. I didn't have time for people who only showed interest when there was something impressive to attach themselves to. The calls continued over the next week. My mother, my father, Tyler, Amanda, all suddenly interested in my life. Hey man, heard you made partner. That's huge. We should grab drinks. Tyler, who hadn't called me in 2 years, who'd never asked about my work, who'd borrowed money 6 months ago and never paid it back, suddenly wanted to grab drinks. I'm swamped with work, maybe another time. Come on, we're family. We should celebrate together. Another time. Amanda texted, OMG, just heard. So proud of you. We need to catch up. When are you free? 3 years since we'd had a real conversation. 3 years of her posting selfies and relationship drama while never asking about my life. Now she needed to catch up. I didn't respond to the text. My father left a voicemail. Son, your mother told me the news. Very impressive. I always knew you'd find your path. We should talk soon. I have some ideas about investments you could help with. Call me. I always knew you'd find your path. Revision of history. He'd told me for 2 decades I'd never make real money, that books wouldn't pay bills, that I was smart but useless. Now he always knew and immediately wanted to talk about investments, about using my professional expertise for his benefit. I deleted the voicemail. They kept trying, kept calling, kept texting, kept finding excuses to reach out. I kept deflecting, kept saying I was busy, kept maintaining distance, because I saw exactly what was happening. They didn't respect me, they didn't value me. They just wanted proximity to success. They wanted to brag about their son, the partner, wanted to benefit from my expertise, wanted to attend dinners where they could casually mention, my son manages hundreds of millions. But they didn't want me. They wanted what I could give them, status, bragging rights, free financial advice, association with success. That's not family, that's opportunism. So I gave them nothing, no access, no information, no opportunity to diminish or exploit what I'd built. And when I heard through a cousin that they were planning to stop by my office, I made a decision. They wouldn't get past the lobby. I need to add names to the restricted visitor list, I told Jessica, our receptionist, 3 weeks before they showed up. Sure, who? I gave her the names. My parents, my brother, my sister. If any of these people show up claiming to be family, don't let them pass the lobby. Call security immediately. Jessica didn't ask questions. She'd worked for firms long enough to know that family dynamics could be complicated. Noted. They'll be flagged in the system. Thank you. I also briefed my assistant, Marcus. I'm expecting my family might try to visit unannounced. I don't want to see them. If they somehow get past reception, I'm in a meeting, unavailable, out of the office. Whatever you need to say. Understood. It wasn't paranoia. It was preparation. I knew them, knew how they operated, knew they'd try to show up, make a scene, force their way into my life now that it was worth their time. But I'd spent 35 years being dismissed by them. I wasn't giving them access now. 2 weeks later, my cousin Jenny called. Hey, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but your mom was asking me about your office address. She said she wants to surprise you for your birthday. My birthday was 3 months away. What did you tell her? Nothing specific, but she seemed pretty determined. I think she's planning to show up. Thanks for the heads up. I called building security. I have some family members who might try to access the building. I've already flagged them with reception, but I want to make sure you're aware. We'll handle it. If they're not on the approved list, they don't get past the lobby. Appreciated. I wasn't angry, wasn't anxious, just prepared. They'd made their choices for 35 years. Now they'd live with the consequences. The consequences of dismissing someone's worth until it becomes undeniable. The consequences of only showing interest when there's something to gain. The consequences of treating family like a transactional relationship. I went back to work, managed my clients' portfolios, attended partnership meetings, lived my life without them in it, and I waited. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in my office reviewing quarterly performance reports when Marcus buzzed me. "Your family is in the lobby. Already flagged. Let security handle it." They're being persistent. That's not my problem. I pulled up the security camera feed on my computer. An indulgence, maybe, but I wanted to see this play out. 4:05 p.m. They arrived together, dressed up, my father in a suit he probably only wore to weddings, my mother in a dress that said "important occasion." Tyler and Amanda both looking polished, confident. They approached Jessica's desk with smiles, entitlement radiating off them. My mother leaned in, said something. I couldn't hear, but I could read her body language. Friendly, warm, assuming access was automatic. Jessica remained professional, checked her computer, made a call to Marcus. I watched Marcus tell her what I'd already instructed. They're not on the list. Don't let them up. Jessica delivered the message calmly. Professional. I'm sorry. You're not on the visitor list. You'll need to leave. My father's reaction was immediate. His face changed, confusion morphing into indignation. He was saying something now. Voice probably raised, gestures probably aggressive. Jessica didn't engage, just picked up the phone, called security. Mark and Jennifer appeared within 60 seconds. Professional, calm, firm. Mark was saying something, probably. You need to leave. If you refuse, we'll call the police. Tyler stepped forward, chest puffed, trying to look intimidating. I could see him talking, probably threats, probably about how this was wrong, illegal, unacceptable. But Mark didn't budge, just repeated the directive. Leave voluntarily or be escorted by police. Amanda was crying now, or pretending to cry. Hard to tell which. She was always good at weaponizing tears. My mother was trying a different approach, pleading, you could see it in her posture. Hands together, supplicating, begging for access to her own son. But Jessica wasn't moved. Building policy was building policy. Names on the restricted list stayed restricted. At 4:07 p.m., Mark gestured toward the exit. Not aggressive, just clear, final. They walked out, looking back, confused, humiliated, finally understanding that showing up uninvited to someone's workplace, especially someone they'd dismissed for decades, doesn't grant automatic access. The lobby clock clearly showed their total time inside, 2 minutes. I closed the security feed, returned to the quarterly reports. My hands were steady. My breathing was normal. I felt no guilt, no second thoughts, no emotional turmoil, just quiet satisfaction that I'd set a boundary and enforced it, that I'd protected my space from people who'd never protected me from their cruelty. Marcus buzzed again. They're gone. Security confirmed they left the building. Thank you. Are you okay? I'm fine. Thank you for handling it. I worked for another 3 hours. Normal Tuesday. Nothing disrupted. Nothing changed. They'd tried to force their way into my life and failed. That was the end of it. Or so I thought. But before the aftermath, before the calls and texts and attempts at guilting me, I want to be clear about what that 2-minute humiliation actually meant. Because it wasn't cruel. It wasn't revenge. It was boundary setting. Pure and simple. Let me explain something about boundaries that took me years and significant therapy to understand. Boundaries aren't about punishing other people. They're about protecting yourself. My family showing up unannounced at my workplace wasn't just inconvenient. It was a violation. A statement that said, your boundaries don't matter, your preferences don't matter. Our desire for access overrides your right to control your own space and time. By having them escorted out, I wasn't being cruel to them. I was being kind to myself. I was saying, my space is mine, my time is mine, my workplace is mine. You don't get to invade that just because we share DNA. That's healthy, that's necessary. That's the foundation of any sustainable relationship. Mutual respect for boundaries. They never respected mine when I was growing up. Never respected my need for encouragement instead of comparison. Never respected my achievements even when they were significant. Never respected my right to pursue interests they didn't value. So why would I give them access now? Why would I reward decades of disrespect with automatic forgiveness just because they'd finally realized I'd become successful? I wouldn't, and I didn't. Here's what I realized watching that security footage. They didn't come because they missed me. They came because they wanted something. Status, bragging rights, association with success, free financial advice from their partner's son, the ability to tell their friends and neighbors, our son manages hundreds of millions. He's very successful. They wanted to harvest my success without having planted any seeds, wanted to benefit from my achievements without having supported the struggle, wanted credit for a result they'd actively worked against. That's not love. That's opportunism. Real love shows up when things are hard, when you're struggling, when you're at your lowest and need support most. They didn't show up then. They showed up when I'd already succeeded, when the hard part was over, when there was no risk to them, only potential benefit. So I gave them exactly what they'd given me during my hardest years. Nothing. Not out of spite, out of consistency, out of understanding that people who only show up when it's convenient for them aren't people you can build real relationships with. Let me break down those 2 minutes in detail because they matter. 4:05 Shalks p.m. They enter the lobby, confident, entitled, expecting access. 4:05:15 p.m. They approach Jessica, state their family, expect to be sent up immediately. 4:05:30 p.m. Jessica checks the computer, sees the flag, makes the call to Marcus. 4:05:45 p.m. Marcus confirms they're restricted. Don't let them up. Call security. 4:06 p.m. Jessica delivers the message. You need to leave? 4:06:15 p.m. My father argues. My mother pleads. Tyler postures. Amanda cries. 4:06:30 p.m. Jessica doesn't engage, just calls security, professional, calm, following protocol. 4:06:45 p.m. Mark and Jennifer arrive, assess the situation, approach professionally. 4:07 p.m. Mark states clearly, you need to leave now. If you refuse, we'll call the police. 4:07:15 p.m. Tyler tries to stand his ground. Mark doesn't budge. Policy is policy. 4:07:30 p.m. They finally understand this is real. They're actually being removed. 4:07:45 p.m. They walk out, looking back, shocked, humiliated, but leaving. 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Less time than it takes to microwave popcorn, less time than an average song, just enough time for them to understand you're not welcome here. That brevity was intentional, not designed to maximize their humiliation, though I'm sure it was humiliating, designed to minimize disruption to my workplace, to my colleagues, to the professional environment I'd worked 13 years to build. They got exactly as much time as they deserved, barely any. I could have let them up, could have met with them in a conference room, could have listened to whatever they wanted to say, could have given them a chance to explain, apologize, beg for forgiveness, or simply associate themselves with my success. But why? What would that accomplish except giving them a platform they hadn't earned, giving them access they'd never respected, giving them an opportunity to either hurt me again or try to benefit from what I'd built? I chose differently. I chose protection over politeness, boundaries over biological obligation, self-respect over social expectation, and I don't regret it. Not for a second. Because that 2-minute humiliation sent a clear message. I am not available to people who spent decades making me feel unavailable to myself. I am not accessible to people who made me feel like my access to their approval was permanently denied. I am not open to relationships with people who only opened their hearts when my bank account opened up. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. That's not revenge, that's respect. For myself, finally. And it felt better than any reunion could have felt. Because it was honest, real, based on actual boundaries rather than false hope that people who'd never valued me would suddenly start. My phone started ringing at 6:30 p.m. My mother. I sent it to voicemail. It rang again. My father. Voicemail. Again. Tyler. Voicemail. Text messages flooded in. Mom. What you did today was unacceptable. We're your family. You can't treat us like this. Dad. Call me immediately. We need to talk about what happened. This is ridiculous. Tyler. Seriously? You had security throw us out? What the hell is wrong with you? Amanda. I can't believe you'd humiliate us like that. Mom is devastated. How could you? I didn't respond to any of them. Just watched the messages pile up, each one revealing exactly who they were. Not, we're sorry for showing up unannounced. Not, we should have called first. Not, we understand if we've hurt you. Just, how dare you enforce boundaries? How dare you not give us automatic access? How dare you not let us benefit from your success? The messages continued through the evening, escalating. Mom, you've changed. Success has made you cruel. The son I raised would never treat his family this way. The son she raised was dismissed for 35 years, told his strengths didn't matter. Compared unfavorably to everyone, the son she raised learned to protect himself because his family wouldn't. Dad, If this is how you're going to be, don't bother coming to family events. You're not welcome. I hadn't planned on coming anyway, but nice to have confirmation that their love was conditional, that it always had been. Tyler, you think you're better than us now? You're not. You're still the same boring kid who couldn't throw a football. Money doesn't change that. There it was, the real emotion. Not hurt, not sadness, just resentment that the useless one had succeeded while the golden child floundered. Amanda, everyone thinks you're being unreasonable. I told the whole family what you did. They all agree you're wrong. Of course she did. Of course they agreed. Because none of them had ever supported me. Why would they start now? I blocked their numbers. All of them. Not out of anger, out of clarity. They'd shown me exactly who they were. I was finally accepting it completely. My cousin Jenny called that evening. Not blocked because she'd been decent to me over the years. Hey, I heard what happened. I'm sure you did. Your mom she's really upset. I imagine she is. She says she just wanted to see you, to congratulate you. She doesn't understand why you'd have them removed. Jenny, be honest. In 35 years, how many times did they congratulate me for anything? How many times did they show interest in my achievements? Silence. Exactly. They only care now because there's something in it for them. Status, bragging rights, association with success. They don't care about me. They care about what I can give them. Family is complicated. It's not complicated. They dismissed me for decades, told me I was smart but useless, compared me to athletes and popular kids, made it clear I didn't measure up. Now I've succeeded despite them, and suddenly they want access? No, that's not how it works. They're your parents. Biology doesn't obligate me to accept mistreatment. They made their choices. Now I'm making mine. Will you ever forgive them? Maybe, eventually. But forgiveness doesn't mean access. Doesn't mean letting them back into my life. Doesn't mean pretending the past didn't happen. I understand. Do you? I think so. Your parents, they weren't great to you growing up. I saw it. Everyone saw it. We just didn't know how to address it. You couldn't have addressed it. It wasn't your responsibility. But thank you for acknowledging it. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. What you've built. Who you've become. You did it without their support. That makes it even more impressive. Thank you. That means a lot. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment, a penthouse I'd bought 2 years ago in cash, that my family knew nothing about, and reflected. I'd spent 35 years seeking approval from people who'd made it clear I'd never receive it, seeking validation from people who didn't value what I brought, seeking love from people who only loved the children who met their specific criteria. Today, I'd stopped seeking, stopped hoping, stopped giving them opportunities to hurt me, and it felt liberating. Not angry, not vindictive, just free. Free from the weight of trying to prove myself to people who'd never see my worth. Free from the hope that one day they'd recognize what I'd accomplished. Free from the illusion that family meant unconditional love and support. They'd taught me an important lesson, though they never meant to. The people who matter will show up. We'll support you. We'll see your value. We'll celebrate your achievements. Everyone else is optional. My family was optional, and I was choosing to opt out. Life moved forward without them. Easier, actually, lighter. Like I'd been carrying a heavy backpack for 35 years and finally set it down. No more family gatherings where I was the afterthought. No more comparisons to Tyler and Amanda that left me feeling inadequate despite objective success. No more subtle digs about being smart but useless that undermined my confidence. No more pretending we had a healthy relationship when we clearly didn't. No more performing the role of dutiful son to parents who'd never performed the role of supportive parents. Just work, friends, a life built on my own terms without constant commentary from people who'd never understood or valued those terms. The firm was thriving. My client portfolio had grown to $250 million in the 3 months since the lobby incident. I'd brought in 3 major new accounts, 2 through referrals from existing clients, 1 through a speaking engagement at an industry conference where I'd been invited to discuss healthcare technology investing. The senior partners were talking about expanding my equity stake. You're operating above partner level, David told me during a quarterly review. Your book is growing faster than anyone else's. Your client retention is perfect, literally 100%. Your reputation in the healthcare tech space is attracting business to the firm. We want to increase your ownership to 30%. 30% of a firm managing $500 million. The math was staggering, but more than the money, it was the validation. The recognition from people who actually knew my work, who valued expertise over athleticism, who celebrated consistent excellence over flashy potential. I was dating someone now, Emily, who I'd met through mutual friends at a dinner party. She was a doctor, emergency medicine, brilliant, kind, someone who valued intelligence and consistency and quiet excellence, someone who understood what it meant to work hard at something that mattered, someone who got it. We'd been seeing each other for 2 months. Nothing serious yet, but heading that direction. She was easy to be with, didn't need constant entertainment or validation, just enjoyed good conversation, good food, and someone who showed up consistently. "You really don't talk to your family at all?" she asked one evening over dinner at my place. I'd cooked, something I'd taught myself during the years when eating out was too expensive, and I was too proud to accept help from anyone. "Not for 3 months, not planning to." "Do you miss them?" I thought about it, really thought about it. Let myself feel whatever feelings came up instead of intellectualizing them away. No, I miss the idea of family. I miss what family should be. Support, encouragement, unconditional love, showing up when things are hard. But I don't miss them specifically. They weren't those things to me. They were critical, comparative, conditional. They made me feel small for 35 years. I don't miss that. I don't miss feeling like I have to constantly prove my worth to people who've decided I don't have any. That's sad. It is, but it's also honest. And there's freedom in honesty. For 35 years, I pretended we had a normal family. I made excuses for them, rationalized their behavior, told myself they were just tough, or had high standards, or were trying to motivate me in their own way. But that was all bullshit. They were just mean, dismissive, emotionally unavailable, and I'm done pretending otherwise. She reached across the table, took my hand, squeezed gently. "You deserved better?" I did, and eventually I gave myself better, built a life where I'm valued, surrounded myself with people who see my worth. That's enough. That's more than enough. My phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. I glanced at it, then back at Emily. "Family?" she asked. "Probably. They've been calling from different numbers, borrowing friends' phones, using work phones, whatever they can do to get through. You never pick up. Nothing to say. They want something. Access, forgiveness, association with success, absolution without accountability. I'm not interested in giving them any of it." What if they've changed? Change takes years, real, sustained effort, proof through consistent actions, not words or promises. 3 months isn't enough time to undo 35 years of learned behavior and deeply embedded patterns. What if they really are sorry? Then they'll demonstrate it by respecting my boundaries, by accepting that they're not entitled to my time or attention or forgiveness, by understanding that sorry isn't enough to repair what they systematically broke over decades. Real remorse means accepting consequences. They want forgiveness without consequences. That's not how it works. The phone buzzed again. Same number. Persistent. I picked it up, blocked it, set it back down. "That's cold," Emily observed. Not judgmentally, just noting the fact. "Maybe, but I've learned that boundaries aren't mean. They're healthy. They're necessary. They're the difference between protecting yourself and being repeatedly hurt by people who've shown they can't be trusted with access to you, and people who push back against your boundaries, who try to circumvent them, who treat them as optional. Those people are showing you they don't respect you. They just want compliance, submission, access on their terms, and I'm not interested in that anymore." "You sound like you've spent time in therapy," I laughed. 3 years and counting. Best investment I've ever made. Well, second best after the investment in my career. It shows. You're really clear about this. I wasn't always. For years I felt guilty. Felt like maybe I was being too harsh, too unforgiving, too rigid. But my therapist helped me see. Boundaries aren't punishment. They're protection. And you can't have a healthy relationship with people who refuse to respect your boundaries. So the choice isn't boundaries or relationship. The choice is boundaries or continued harm. I chose boundaries. The holidays came. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, the times when family pressure is strongest, when society expects reconciliation, when relatives come out of the woodwork to tell you that life is short and family is everything, and you'll regret this someday. I didn't budge. I spent Thanksgiving with Emily and her family. They were warm, welcoming, genuinely interested in my work. Her father, also in finance, though at a different firm, asked intelligent questions about portfolio management and healthcare tech investing. We had an hour-long conversation about market trends and valuation methodologies. It was the kind of conversation my father could have had with me if he'd ever bothered to learn what I actually did instead of dismissing it as finance stuff. Her mother asked about the firm's culture, history, values. She wanted to know what it was like being a partner, what my day-to-day looked like, what I found most rewarding about the work. She listened, asked follow-up questions, showed genuine interest in understanding my life. This is what family should feel like, I realized. Not obligation, not performance, not constantly trying to prove your worth. Just mutual interest, mutual respect, mutual enjoyment of each other's company. After dinner, Emily's father pulled me aside. I looked up your firm after Emily mentioned you. Impressive operation, solid reputation. You should be proud of making partner there. Thank you, I am. I know it's not easy. Partnership isn't just about performance. It's about fit, culture, long-term thinking. The fact that they brought you in says a lot about who you are. I appreciate that. Emily seems happy with you. I'm happy with her too. Good. That's what matters. Not what you do for work, or how much you make, or what your title is. Just whether you're good to each other, and whether you're happy. Everything else is just details. I thought about that conversation for days afterward. Emily's father, who barely knew me, had given me more genuine validation in 5 minutes than my own father had given me in 35 years. Had celebrated my achievements, had recognized that partnership was meaningful, had valued me as a person, not just as a source of status or disappointment. That's what I'd been missing. That's what I'd been seeking from my family and never receiving. And now I understood. I didn't need it from them anymore. I could get it from chosen family, from people who actually saw me. Christmas, multiple relatives called to tell me my parents were heartbroken, that they'd set a place for me at dinner, that they were making your favorite foods, that they really hoped you'd come. I'm not coming. It's Christmas. Family forgives at Christmas. Family respects boundaries year-round. Mine doesn't, so I'm not there. But thank you for the invitation. They're your parents. Don't you think you're being a bit harsh? I think I'm being as harsh as necessary to protect my mental health and emotional well-being from people who've spent 3.5 decades damaging both. Life is short. You'll regret this. Maybe, but I'll regret continuing to subject myself to their treatment more. I'm choosing the regret I can live with. I spent Christmas with friends, with Emily, with people who'd chosen to be in my life and whom I'd chosen in return. We cooked together, exchanged small, thoughtful gifts, watched movies, laughed, enjoyed each other's company without anyone comparing me to anyone else or telling me I should be different. It was the best Christmas I'd ever had, not because it was extravagant, it wasn't, but because it was peaceful, genuine, free from the weight of trying to earn approval from people determined not to give it. New Year's Eve, Tyler texted from yet another different number I hadn't blocked yet. New year, fresh start. Let's put the past behind us. Come over for dinner, no drama, just family. Just family. Like family was a magic word that erased everything, like shared DNA meant automatic forgiveness and access. I didn't respond, just blocked the new number, added it to the growing list. There's no fresh start without acknowledgement of what happened, no moving forward without addressing the past, no reconciliation without changed behavior and earned trust, no putting it behind us without first dealing with it honestly. They wanted to skip all the hard parts, wanted to pretend nothing had happened, wanted automatic forgiveness without accountability, wanted me to just get over it and welcome them back into my life as if the last 35 years hadn't happened. I wasn't interested, not even a little bit, because I'd learned something crucial. Forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation. You can forgive people for your own peace of mind while still maintaining boundaries that protect you from future harm. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive. I'd forgiven them, in a sense. I didn't hold active anger, didn't wish them harm, didn't spend my days plotting revenge or dwelling on past hurts. I'd processed the pain, worked through it in therapy, and made peace with what happened. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, doesn't mean giving them another chance to hurt me, doesn't mean letting them back into my life just because we share biology. I'd forgiven them, but I'd also learned from them. And what I learned was, some people don't change, some relationships are healthier from a distance, some doors need to stay closed, and I was okay with that. A year after the 2-minute humiliation, I made senior partner, increased my equity stake to 40%. My compensation package crossed 7 figures for the first time. I was 36 and financially set for life. The announcement went public. Industry publications covered it. Youngest senior partner in firm history. My photo, my achievements, my trajectory. I knew my family would see it. Knew it would trigger another wave of contact attempts. I was right. My mother left a voicemail. Congratulations, sweetheart. I saw the news. We're so proud. Please call us. We miss you. We want to be part of your life. My father. Son, Incredible achievement. You've proven everyone wrong. I always believed in you. Let's talk soon. You always believed in me? The gaslighting was remarkable. 35 years of being told I was smart but useless, and now he always believed? Tyler. Bro, senior partner, that's insane. We should celebrate. I'm in the city next week. Let's grab drinks. Amanda. OMG. So proud. You're amazing. When can we see you? I didn't respond to any of them. Didn't block the new numbers immediately, though. Let the messages accumulate. Let them see the read receipts showing I'd seen their messages and chosen not to respond. That was the real message. I see you trying. I'm choosing not to engage. 3 days after the announcement, they showed up at my building again. Different day, different time, but same expectation. We're family, we should get access. Same result. Security escorted them out after 2 minutes. This time I didn't even watch the camera feed. Just got a text from building security. Your family was here. They've been removed. No issues. Thank you. I went back to reviewing client portfolios. Their disruption didn't even register as a blip in my day. Emily and I had moved in together by then. She saw me delete their voicemails without listening. You never even hear them out? I heard them out for 35 years. Heard them tell me I was smart but useless. Heard them compare me unfavorably to everyone. Heard them dismiss every achievement. I've heard enough. What if they're genuinely sorry? Then they'll prove it through actions, not words. They'll respect my boundaries. They'll accept that they're not entitled to my life. They'll understand that sorry requires changed behavior, not just apologies. You've thought about this a lot. I've had a year to think about it. A year of peace, a year without being diminished, a year of building relationships with people who value me. Why would I go back to people who don't? She didn't have an answer for that, because there wasn't one. My therapist said something interesting during a session around that time. You're not punishing them by maintaining this boundary. You're protecting yourself. There's a difference. How do I know which one it is? Punishment is about making them suffer. Protection is about preventing yourself from suffering. Which one describes your motivation? I thought about it. Protection. I don't want them to suffer. I just don't want them to have access to hurt me anymore. Then you're doing the right thing. Boundaries aren't cruel. They're necessary, especially with people who've shown they can't be trusted with access to your emotional space. That resonated. I wasn't being cruel. I was being healthy, setting limits, protecting my peace, choosing myself over people who'd never chosen me. The messages slowed down over the following months, from daily to weekly to monthly. They were finally understanding. I wasn't coming back, wasn't relenting, wasn't going to give them another chance they hadn't earned. A cousin's wedding came up. I was invited. Knew my parents would be there. Knew Tyler and Amanda would be there. Knew it would be awkward. I declined the invitation, sent a nice gift, but didn't attend. You're missing your cousin's wedding? Emily asked. I'm avoiding a situation that would be uncomfortable for everyone involved. My presence would create drama. My absence is a gift to everyone. You think highly of your impact? I know my family. They'd make it about them, about me not talking to them, about how I've changed, about how success made me cruel. The bride doesn't need that at her wedding. That's actually thoughtful. I'm not heartless. I just have boundaries. There's a difference. The cousin, Jenny, the one who'd warned me they were coming, called me after the wedding. I understand why you didn't come. It was the right call. Your mother cried through the whole ceremony. Your father spent the reception complaining about you to anyone who'd listen. Tyler got drunk and made a scene. It would have been worse if you'd been there. That's what I figured. They're telling everyone you've abandoned the family. That success went to your head, that you think you're too good for them now. Let them tell that story if it makes them feel better. Doesn't it bother you, people thinking that about you? People who know me know the truth. People who don't know me aren't my concern. My family spent decades telling me I was smart but useless. Now they're telling people I'm arrogant and changed. I don't control their narrative. I only control my boundaries. You're at peace with this? Completely. Good. You deserve peace. You earned it. 2 years after the 2-minute humiliation, I'm sitting in my office. Same corner office, and same view. Different desk, upgraded when I made senior partner. My portfolio is now $350 million. My compensation is over $2 million annually. I'm being considered for the executive committee. At 37, I've achieved everything I set out to achieve professionally. Personally, Emily and I got engaged, planning a small wedding, her family, my friends, chosen family. No blood relatives on my side. And I'm okay with that. More than okay, relieved. "Are you really not inviting your parents?" her mother asked when we were planning. "I'm not. That's unusual. So is having parents who spent your childhood telling you you'd never amount to anything. I'm not interested in having them attend a celebration of a life they tried to convince me I couldn't build." "That's fair." Her family got it. Didn't push. Didn't try to convince me that family always deserves forgiveness. Just accepted my boundary and moved on. That's what healthy people do. They respect boundaries even when they don't fully understand them. I haven't heard from my biological family in 6 months. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. Either they finally understood or they got tired of being rejected. Either way, the silence is peaceful. Sometimes I think about reaching out, not to reconcile, just to, I don't know, close the loop, say my piece, let them know I don't hate them, I just don't need them. But then I remember, I don't owe them closure, don't owe them explanation, don't owe them anything. They had 35 years to build a relationship with me. They chose to spend those years comparing me unfavorably to others, dismissing my achievements, making me feel worthless unless I conformed to their narrow definition of success. I spent 2 years enforcing boundaries, choosing myself, building a life they aren't part of. We're even now, more than even. I won. Not because I'm more successful than Tyler or Amanda. Success isn't a competition. I won because I'm happy, genuinely happy, living a life aligned with my values, surrounded by people who value me, free from the weight of seeking approval from people who'll never give it. That's the real victory. Not the money, not the title, not the corner office or the partnership or the portfolio size. The victory is internal. It's knowing I'm enough. It's understanding that being smart but useless was their failure of imagination, not my destiny. It's recognizing that the only approval I need is my own. They taught me that, though they never meant to. By rejecting me, they forced me to validate myself. By dismissing me, they forced me to recognize my own worth. By comparing me unfavorably to others, they forced me to stop seeking external validation. So in a strange way, I'm grateful. Not for the hurt. Not for the years of feeling inadequate, but for the lesson. You can't control how others see you. You can only control how you see yourself. I see myself clearly now. I'm smart. I'm capable. I'm successful. I'm valuable. I'm worthy of respect and love and celebration. And I'm not useless. I'm useful to my clients who trust me with their wealth, to my firm that values my contributions, to my fiancé who chose to build a life with me, to my friends who show up, to myself, who finally learned to show up for myself. That's enough. More than enough. My family can tell whatever story they want about me, can say I'm cold, arrogant, changed, ungrateful. I know the truth. I'm protected, boundaried, whole, free, and I built that freedom one no at a time. Starting with the 2-minute humiliation that changed everything, they came seeking access. They got a lesson instead. Success doesn't grant you access to people you've mistreated. Achievement doesn't erase history. Money doesn't buy back time or repair broken relationships. Some doors, once closed, stay closed. My door is closed, and I'm finally at peace with that. The end.